This video is going to be speculation on what Kyle Hamilton's role could be in Week 5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Certainly, with Marcus Peters having an injury and not practicing on Friday, apparently. Who knows what will look like in terms of DB depth, and we got multiple injuries that we're dealing with across the board. Kind of unfortunate. Kyle Hamilton could be a guy that could be called upon to be on the field more than 16 or 17 snaps that he's played the last 2 weeks. I think 38 snaps Week 1 against the Jets, maybe 36, 40, 42 snaps Week 2 against Miami, and then those snaps have been minimized, to be honest with you. 16, 18 snaps the last 2 weeks. I am not going to sit here and try to judge how he was utilized in Week 4. I will have a little bit of commentary just to try to make a point, but I'm not going to say Kyle Hamilton should have been on the field more. Chuck Clark should have been on the field less. I will show some plays that illustrate a little bit of a difference in the way that the tight ends were defended, and that's really the focus of this, because there's been multiple people way before me. In fact, I think EA, Edgar Allen, and Sip Tatali, I think it was those two, I could be wrong, that after Kyle Hamilton was kind of first drafted, in the next month or so, I believe they did videos about speculating that Kyle Hamilton's maybe best asset for this team at this time might be guarding tight ends. And there's some evidence of that in the Bills game. So just keep that in mind. That is the focus of the video, is speculating what will be his role in Week 5 against Cincinnati. And then also, how he was used in Week 4 against the Bills to kind of be deployed. So let's look at a little bit of film from early in the season. This is the forced fumble against the Patriots. Kyle Hamilton's playing half-field safety, and then post-snap, he's going to insert down to 3 side. What I mean by 3 is I mean the running back. So God forbid this running back had bled out to this side. I'm not sure who would have covered him. But in any case, he spins down to 3 side, responsible for him. We get a big completion on Pepe Williams, and then Kyle Hamilton kind of comes out of nowhere and knocks the ball out. Huge play. We're very fortunate to get some of these turnovers. When I use the word fortunate, I don't mean lucky, because it's hustle. It's not giving up on the play and taking advantage of opportunities that are there. You look at the New England Patriots' first Super Bowl. They were very fortunate that the tuck rule, gave the Patriots the ball back. Otherwise, that game was over. Does it mean they were lucky? I don't know if you want to use the word lucky or not. But anyway, an example of Kyle Hamilton dropping down, I believe, to play man on this running back, because you definitely have man on the rest of those guys there. So I don't know who else would be guarding this running back man if not for Kyle Hamilton dropping down to 3 side. What I mean by 3 is this is number 1 receiver, that's 2. You got 1 and 2 up here. This will be the 3 receiver down to the bottom side. He was originally lined up in the backfield. Kyle Hamilton's playing man on him from a really deep position, and then is able to retreat, force a fumble. Unbelievable play, unbelievable recovery by Marcus Peters. He's not been used that way all year. He's been used in a multitude of ways. Here he is playing half-field safety. Week 1 against the Jets, just kind of funnel coverage that the Ravens play against certain 2x2 sets. It's possible we could use this coverage a little bit against the Bengals. There's a little bit of a problem with it, and I'll show it to you here in a moment. But Hamilton here, we're trying to force 1 and 2. 1 and 2. We're trying to funnel them into the safeties. We're trying to funnel them into the safeties. So basically, we're leverage side with Humphrey and then Clark on the inside. And then leverage outside with Kyle Fuller. Now, we're not outside leverage here on Stevens. It looks like he's expecting this little underneath route. So he's got a little bit different leverage. Kyle Hamilton would be responsible for, the outer portion of this throw if the quarterback targeted that number 2 receiver. He's in pretty good position. Maybe he's playing a little high. Maybe he's playing a little deep. Great job by Patrick Queen on that 3rd down, by the way. When I say playing a little high, maybe getting a little bit too much depth. But there's a lot of rookie safeties and DBs in the NFL right now that are getting a lot of depth. As an aside, I don't know if you guys know this, kind of getting ready to find it out. Dax Hill, one of the other first-round safeties drafted, he's only played like 22 snaps the whole year. And by my math, Kyle Hamilton's played somewhere around 120, 125, something like that. Now, we know the Bengals' defense is balling out. Like, against the run, against the pass, they're really high-rated. So I get it. But I'm just using that to illustrate to you guys that there's a lot of young rookies in the league who either aren't playing up to the standard that their potential shows, number 1, or number 2, they're just not getting that many reps on the field. I just did a film study on Jermaine Johnson the other day. His first career sack against the Steelers in Week 4. He had a half sack against the Ravens in Week 1, but his first whole career sack, he's only playing like 20 snaps a game on defense. Jermaine Johnson, first-round pick, defensive end for the Jets. projected to be a top team. But in any case, I'm just using that to illustrate to you that there's many rookies that are struggling to be consistent in the NFL right now. It's a big adjustment. I've talked about this play twice before in videos. This is an opportunity for Brandon Stephens or Kyle Hamilton to lock up on Garrett Wilson here. Unfortunately, neither one of them do it. It's a 3rd and, I think, 10. Hamilton's got real heavy eyes in the backfield. Stephens doesn't lock up on that guy. One or both of them should. To be honest with you, all zone becomes man at some point, and then we end up with 2 missed tackles. The missed tackles are concerning, obviously, but it's the poor eye discipline that will be the largest concern for me. But I don't think that's the best role for Kyle Hamilton. I'm not sure that this is right now either. Him dropping back to middle of the field free safety with Marcus Williams spinning down to play the low hole area. This is going to be a target to Corey Davis against Marlon Humphrey. Probably should have been completed, thrown a little bit behind Davis. You can see Marlon gets his hips turned to the sideline, and then Davis brings this back in. I would say that, once Kyle Hamilton gets a little bit more confidence in making his reads, he would break on a ball like this. Not saying he'd be there to KO that receiver, but he might be there to play a role in that guy catching the ball and being able to secure it. To me, he's a little late, from that position right now. But, again, it's 3rd and long, and I think it's late in the game. He's trying not to get beat. In my opinion, like I referenced EA earlier and Sip to Tally, I think this is the way that he could probably be the most useful for us, and it's the one that has the film from the Bills game I'm going to show you. This is guarding a tight end. Now, it is 2nd and 11, so it's an obvious passing down. Hamilton lined up here, off man coverage. Just going to drive on it, make the tackle on the short pass, a little outcut. It's a simple pass on that one, but we have multiple examples from the Bills game of the same concept, the same coverage. Here he is against Knox, who gave us trouble, admittedly. Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Peters communicating on this 3rd and long. Unfortunately for us, it's a completion to Diggs. Nice little out and in. But look at the coverage by Hamilton. This might be what he can give us that's the highest rated skill for him at this time. How does that fit with the Bengals game? I'm not sure. Maybe if Hayden Hurst or a tight end is in the slot, maybe if Boyd is in the slot, but I'm not sure that Hamilton would be a matchup on him in terms of man. I would think it would be tight ends right now that he would be able to match up with the best and use his length and his strength and his awareness, to be able to shut that guy down. And I think he did that, to some extent in the Bills game, and that's why I'm showing this film here. Hamilton, left side of the defense, top side of your screen, against Knox again. This time going to walk up, just blanket him. It's a nice challenge on the backside to Brandon Stephens. But this is what I think Kyle Hamilton can probably offer us the best. This is 2-man. So 2-man means we got 2 safeties sitting up high, and then we're playing man on all these guys. And the only problem that I would say is, then we're really isolating our remaining inside linebacker, which in this case is Queen, on the running back. That's a typical coverage that the Ravens are playing. Very similar to one of the first ones I showed you earlier in the video where Marcus Williams drops down and Kyle Hamilton drops back to the middle of the field. That's not Kyle Hamilton in terms of that last arrow. It's Chuck Clark. But you got 2 examples there of Kyle Hamilton playing good coverage on a tight end. He's a better athlete than Knox, number 1. Number 2, he's a big guy with long arms, so he can stand up to him. And I think when we didn't play Kyle Hamilton man on Knox, we had trouble with him. So this is a little bit of an unfair play for Odafe Oweh. I don't like the coverage at all. We're asking Oweh to drop out from an outside linebacker position. You can see he gets turned around. If you had the end zone angle, you would see that as he gets his pass read from this tackle, he kind of double checks again before turning, and he's really out of position. I think that Kyle Hamilton's not on the field, by the way. I think that Josh Allen kind of knew where he was going with this ball. I think he had an idea that we were zone blitzing. And I think this has been generally ineffective for us. We're bringing the inside linebacker, Malik Harrison from the field. He was located about right here. And then we're dropping the outside linebacker to kind of replace. That's a common, coverage that's used by a lot of teams. The Steelers use it. The Steelers will do it in a slightly more advanced way, if you ask me. Just showing you that some of the times when we weren't covering Knox with Kyle Hamilton, we had trouble with him. Up at the top of the field, again, Kyle Hamilton's not on the field. This is Clark on Knox. I think it's another 3rd down. And it's a little bit of a bobble by McKenzie. It's a great play by Bynes to get in there and impact it. I think he was already bobbling it at that point. But you can see Clark is in good relationship with Knox. So I'm not trying to use this whole this whole video to paint it as we should have put Kyle Hamilton on Knox the whole time. There is one play that I'm going to speculate on later. I would like you to speculate on it or provide some educated guesses as to how it could have worked out if Kyle Hamilton was playing in man. You probably know the play I'm talking about. All right, later in the game, Clark on Knox, Humphrey up there on Diggs to that side. One of the many examples where Humphrey is a part of the read side. Humphrey is a part of the side of the field where Josh Allen is looking and reading and determining who to throw the football to. And for whatever reason, he just didn't target Marlon Humphrey's guy that much. I thought there was 2 or maybe 3 times where it looked like the guy Marlon Humphrey was guarding was possibly open or available to get the football, but for whatever reason, Josh Allen didn't throw it to him. Here we've got Knox being guarded by Geno Stone, and it's a great route by Knox. You can see the leverage that Stone has on the inside. It's a great throw by Josh Allen. Just give him credit for sticking this thing over there, toward the bottom of the side of the field, right as he's taking a huge hit from Patrick Queen, who was on this delayed read blitz. So give them credit. I wonder how that would have worked out if Kyle Hamilton was guarding Knox. Am I saying I think Kyle Hamilton shuts him down in that situation? Well, no, but we do have evidence from 2 plays earlier in the game where he's able to be in pretty good coverage relationship with the tight end. Here's one where he gets a little bit lost, but it's because it's a pick rub concept. He's on number 85. Forgive me, I don't know that tight end's name. But I'm anxious to get some of this video out to you guys because the weekend's coming soon and my Saturday morning live stream is coming up. So maybe I should have done a little bit more due diligence and gotten that guy's name. But in any case, you can see Hamilton's got to go underneath of his own teammate who's trying to go over the top to match this number 3 going into the flats. And you can see he gets caught, he gets lost a little bit here. That's through no fault of his own. He does a smart thing and tries to hold because he understands as a result of the pick or the rub, he's now been beat. It's a 3rd and 7. I still offer to you that this is a nice job by Kyle Hamilton with the situation he's been given. At some point, somebody's got to go over the top and somebody's got to go underneath. You're kind of damned if you're damned if you don't. You can't teach kids or DBs to do the same thing every time because people could take advantage of it. This is the play when Chuck Clark knocks out the receiver. I'm still not too sure that receiver caught this football and secured it, number 1. But number 2, I hope that guy's okay and is able to recover. Concussions are no joke, especially during these Thursday night games, but I won't digress here. I hope that guy's all right. I think that's McKenzie. All right, last play that I want to show you. Actually, 2 more plays, I'm sorry. Here's Hamilton. One of the few times he's lined up to the tight end side, and you can see we're not showing man here, all right? We're showing that this is not man. This is apparently a play that didn't happen for a lot of people. This is not a 3rd down sack where we force them to punt in the 4th quarter. Apparently that did not happen, and our defense was not capable of doing this at all in the second half. So anyway, in any case, Hamilton, if you ask me, gets a little bit too deep, and you've got some kind of crosser developing that if Josh Allen had the time to get it there, Hamilton might have just a little bit too much depth, if you ask me, on a 3rd and 10. Here's the sticks, the 40-yard line, and I think you've got basically a zone blitz, where we're bringing 5 and we're playing 3 deep, 3 under. And I think Hamilton's got a little bit too much depth there, but I think he's very aware. He understands that he's got this route developing over the top and a second one here, and he doesn't want to allow Humphrey to get isolated. It's a great concept by the Bills because then the third part of it is this guy underneath. And if Josh Allen had a little bit more time to deliver the football, he would be able to do so. By the way, this is the route coming from the other side of the field. That's what happens when you don't, redirect anybody. You don't get hands on anybody at all. Free releases allow receivers from one side of the field to get to the other side of the field quickly. So in any case, nothing wrong with Kyle Hamilton's decision to be a little deep there, just pointing it out to you. All right, this is, if you ask me, probably the play of the game. 3rd and 2, and we get a really unfortunate first down by Knox. Beats Chuck Clark in coverage for 20 yards. In my opinion, Kyle Hamilton has a little bit of the same characteristics of Chuck Clark in terms of poor eye discipline at times. When I say poor eye discipline, let me be specific. He looks in the backfield a little too much. And right now, Clark is looking in the backfield after the tight end has passed him. Let's rewind it a little bit and see if we can tell if his eyes are too heavy in the back. I still believe his eyes are in the backfield, and in my opinion, his eyes should be on the man. His eyes should be on number 2. I don't care what coverage it is. If it's man, his eyes need to be on number 2. If it's a read, because you're getting this route by Diggs, and then you're getting this route by Knox. If it's a read and we're supposed to be reading 2, then he should be looking at number 2. And there's too many times when Chuck Clark's eyes are stuck in the backfield, and they're still stuck in the backfield after he realizes that the ball, he's being targeted. There's no you got to turn and go, and then once his hands flash, then you can make a play for the ball. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think if Kyle Hamilton's guarding Knox in that situation, it's going to be a much more difficult catch. He still may make the catch. He may physically overwhelm Hamilton. I don't think so. So now Frank and a couple other guys in our Discord and Patreon and my Patreon identified this during the game and mentioned it, and then said, we're going to move on from it because it happened. I'm certainly not trying to denigrate Chuck Clark. I'm using this to be illustrative and show you, I think, 2 examples from earlier, maybe 3. Yeah, 3 examples of Hamilton playing man on a tight end. The third example I showed you, I think I forwarded or admitted that I thought he was beat a little bit because of the rub concept. In this case, this isn't a rub concept. Nothing happened to Chuck Clark. There was nothing to inhibit him or prevent him from being able to cover this tight end with a little bit more stickiness, a little bit more tightly than that. Very unfortunate. 3rd and 2 on that last drive. We get an incompletion there. We get a stop. And I think there's something to be said for that. Yes, we had a lot of penalties. I chronicled that in a video. Hopefully I covered it well and was somewhat balanced, even though a lot of Bills fans was pissed off by it. Number 1. Number 2, we had an unfortunate situation where we didn't convert the 4th down. Maybe we should have kicked it. Maybe we should have thrown the ball to Duvernay earlier. Whatever the case may be, we have a lot of factors to blame. There was a situation where a 3rd and 2, we have a chance to get a stop. Maybe it was 3rd and 3. And poor eye discipline puts us in a situation where the tight end is far more open than he should be. Let me know what you think of me speculating there. I kind of went against what I said earlier in the video. I certainly wasn't trying to criticize Chuck Clark because, I like Chuck Clark. I like the career he's carved out as a 6th or 7th round pick out of Virginia Tech. I like his tenacity and his mentality of I'm not going to give up my starting spot. But I wonder if we don't have a guy who's better at covering those tight ends in those situations. Kyle Hamilton, who's just not on the field right there. I understand that, sometimes you don't trust rookies, and I did spend some time earlier in the video talking about rookies struggling in coverage. I'm a huge fan of Derek Stingley. He's had some issues in coverage, particularly against Cortland Sutton and some other guys. There's some other safeties that have trouble even getting on the field, like I said about Dax Hill. Kyler Gordon in Chicago has had a lot of trouble, as a 2nd round pick, I believe. So there's plenty of DBs that are having issues. Tariq Woolen, a guy who's got all the physical attributes, had a big interception, I think, in week 3. He's given up some big plays. I think it happens to a lot of these rookies, and I wonder if we're not elongating Kyle Hamilton's development by not letting him be on the field in some of these situations, particularly when we're dealing with 6'4", 6'5" tight ends, 250, 255 pounds, that Kyle Hamilton's physical and athletic gifts, to me, appear to match up with better than anyone on our team. You guys let me know what you think of Kyle Hamilton's impact, what it potentially could be in Week 5 against the Bengals, him possibly matching up against Hayden Hurst, who looks physically imposing and very athletic and explosive now. He was quick, he was fast, and a little bit lighter with the Ravens. He seems to have gained weight, muscle mass, and gotten faster and more explosive. In his 3rd NFL team. So good for him. Hopefully he takes advantage of it. Just not this week against the Ravens, right? We'd like to see Hurst continue to do well, but not against us. So let me know what you think of Hamilton's possible role, or speculating about his role in Week 5 at home against the Bengals. And then what you think, if you agree with me, that he appears to be best at covering tight ends in the slot and kind of taking away that option from the quarterback as a 3rd down, focus or 3rd down target. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. Let me know what you think of Kyle Hamilton's potential impact and my breakdown so far.